Welcome to Thai Horror Story. Tonight, we journey to the north of Thailand, to the city of Chiang Mai, a place renowned for its beauty and rich history. The story we are about to tell doesn't take place in a graveyard or a dark forest, but in a place of art and timeless elegance, an ancient Lanna house. A house built from golden teak wood that has stood for over a century, silently guarding a terrifying secret within its shadows. Our story begins with Pim, a talented young architect from Bangkok, specializing in historical preservation. She landed her dream project, restoring the Ruen Jan Ngam, or the House of the Beautiful Moon. It was an old Lanna-style mansion on the banks of the Ping River, abandoned for decades, set to be transformed into a luxury boutique hotel. Wow, it's even more beautiful than in the photos, Uncle Kham. The structure is still so solid. Yes, Miss Pim, my great-grandfather built this house himself with the best teak wood. But as you can see, it's been empty for a long time. None of the locals dare to come near it. They say, the house still has a guardian. A powerful spirit, you mean? Don't worry, I'll be sure to pay my respects properly before we begin any work. Pim didn't pay much mind to the old man's warning. She was captivated by the beauty of the house. The intricate wood carvings, the iconic V-shaped gale at the roof's peak, and the wide veranda overlooking the river. But deep down, she couldn't shake a strange feeling, a heavy, cold atmosphere, as if a pair of eyes were watching her from the darkest corners of the house. The renovation began. Pim and her team started a detailed survey of the structure. One afternoon, while inspecting the wooden walls of the master bedroom, Pim noticed a section where the color and grain of the wood didn't quite match the rest. Tapping on it, she heard a hollow sound. Intrigued, she had her workers carefully pry the panel away. What they found behind it took everyone by surprise. It was a small, hidden compartment, and inside sat a small, ancient wooden chest. As Pim cautiously opened it, she found a strange clay doll. It was a small figure of a young boy, but its expression was grim and sullen, not cherubic like the kumanthong or golden child amulets she had seen before. This doll looked unnervingly realistic. Its eyes were made of polished onyx stones that seemed to glint in the light, as if they were alive. Pim felt a strange connection to the doll. On an impulse, she decided to take it back to her temporary apartment. She had no idea that this would be the single greatest mistake of her life. That very night, the strangeness began. As Pim slept, she smelled a scent, the sweet, overwhelming fragrance of jasmine flowers, even though there were none in her room. Then she heard a sound, the sound of a child running around her bed. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter, followed by a soft, chilling giggle. "Who's there?" Pim opened her eyes to the darkness, but saw nothing. She told herself it was just a dream. But then, her gaze fell upon the clay doll she had placed on her work desk. It wasn't where she had left it. It had moved to the very edge of the table, as if it were watching her. Similar things happened every night. The sound of a toy clattering in the dark. Personal belongings moved from their place. And most disturbingly, she started to dream. She saw vivid scenes from the house's past. A tall, imposing man dressed in the garb of an old Lanna nobleman, performing a terrifying ritual. and she saw a little boy, a boy whose face was identical to that of the clay doll. Pim became sleep-deprived and exhausted. Her colleagues noticed how pale she'd become. She finally decided to seek help from an expert, Professor Tan, a local university lecturer who specialized in Lanna history and folklore. From what you've described, Pim, I don't think this is a typical child spirit amulet. The appearance of the doll, the ritual you saw in your dream, it aligns with a darker form of folk magic. It involves creating a vessel for a spirit using parts of a deceased person, specifically a child, to bind their soul to the object, granting it immense power. Are you saying that inside that doll, it's possible it contains something of the boy? Yes. His ashes, perhaps, and by removing him from his sealed chamber, you've essentially set him free. These child spirits, they can seem harmless, but they are driven by powerful, primal emotions. Most of all, they become possessive of their new owner. They will do anything to keep that person all to themselves. The professor's words sent a shiver down Pim's spine. She rushed back to her apartment, intending to return the doll immediately. But when she arrived, she found her room in chaos. It had been completely ransacked, and there, on her vanity mirror, scrawled in her own bright red lipstick, were the tiny fingerprints of a child, spelling out a message. "Mother, don't leave me." The message on the mirror was the final proof. This was not a dream, not a coincidence. He was calling her mother, and he would not let her take him back. Fear, true and suffocating, took hold of Pim's heart. She called Professor Tan immediately. He urged her to remain calm and not to act rashly. Any aggressive action could provoke the spirit and put her in real danger. Their only choice was to uncover the history of the house and the boy, to find a way to release him properly. Their investigation began. Pim and the professor pored over old town archives and temple records. They finally found a chronicle belonging to an old family, the original owners of the House of the Beautiful Moon. The record spoke of a man named Master Singham, the owner of the house over a century ago. He was a powerful mystic, feared and respected in the community. He had one son, Khampan, who was born with a mysterious illness and died at the tender age of 7. Consumed by grief, Master Singham performed the ultimate transgression. He bound his son's soul to a clay doll crafted from the boy's own ashes, so that his son would never have to leave him. Is this real? He actually did that to his own son? It appears so. He tethered Khampan's spirit to the house, to act as a guardian of his treasures. But to trap a soul like that, it's a form of torture. Over the century of solitude, the innocent spirit of Khampan must have twisted, warped into something lonely, angry, and starved for the one thing he craved most, a mother's love. As their research continued, Khampan's harassment grew more intense and more dangerous. It was no longer confined to Pim's apartment. It followed her to the construction site. "Miss Pim, look out." Scaffolding would shake violently with no one on it. Tools would fall from high places, narrowly missing her head. The workers grew terrified and refused to continue. But the most frightening development was how Khampan began to assert his ownership of Pim. Her boyfriend Nat came to visit from Bangkok. He was about to have an experience that would haunt him forever. "You feel so cold, Pim. Are you sick? You look exhausted," No, I'm just tired, that's all. That night, as Nat slept beside Pim, he was jolted awake by a crushing weight on his chest, suffocating him. He opened his eyes and saw it, the translucent figure of a small boy sitting on top of him. Its onyx black eyes stared down with pure malice. It gave him a sickening grin, and then its tiny hands wrapped around his throat. Nat struggled, but he was powerless against the phantom grip. Just as he was about to lose consciousness, Pim woke up and switched on the light. The figure vanished instantly. Nat coughed violently, trembling in fear. He looked at Pim, and then at his own reflection in the dark window. Faint red marks in the shape of a child's hand were appearing on his neck. Khampan would not tolerate another man near his mother. Terrified, Nat argued fiercely with Pim, begging her to abandon the project and come home. But Pim refused. She couldn't leave. She was the one who woke the spirit. She felt responsible. The fight ended with Nat driving back to Bangkok alone, leaving Pim to face the horror by herself. And that was exactly what Khampan wanted. Pim was now completely isolated, and Khampan began to close in. It became clear he didn't just want her as a mother, he wanted to be with her forever. He began to possess her in small ways. Sometimes, Pim would find herself speaking in a child's tone of voice, or humming an old lullaby she had never heard. Her own life force seemed to be draining away, leaving her weaker each day. Professor Tan saw the grave danger she was in. He told her they were out of time. According to the ancient texts, there was only one way to stop Khampan, a ritual to send his soul to the next realm. But the ritual was incredibly dangerous, and it had to be performed on the night of the new moon. Inside the master bedroom of the house, the place where Khampan's spiritual energy was strongest, the night of the new moon arrived. The sky was a blanket of black, with no moonlight to pierce the darkness. The only light in the master bedroom came from the flickering candles Pim and Professor Tan had lit for the ceremony. The air in the house was heavy, silent, and colder than ever before, as if the entire structure was holding its breath. Professor Tan arranged the ritual items according to the text: blessed flowers, sacred white string to form a protective circle, and most importantly, an object of a mother's pure love. He explained that to sever a bond created by a father's grief, they needed the power of a mother's unconditional love. Pim had brought her own baby blanket, the first one she ever had, which her mother had kept for all these years. He's here, Pim. Stay calm. Whatever happens, do not let go of the sacred string, and do not look him directly in the eyes. The words had barely left his lips when every candle in the room was extinguished at once. Total darkness. The temperature plummeted, and then they heard it, the sound of small feet dragging slowly across the floorboards, circling them, before stopping right in front of Pim. Mother, where are you going? I'm not leaving you. I'm sending you to a better place. It's time to rest now, my child. No. You will stay with me. Here. With that final word, an unseen force slammed into Professor Tan, throwing him across the room. The sacred string in his hands snapped. The protective circle was broken. Pim screamed. In the faint light filtering from outside, she could see Khampan's form more clearly now. No longer a shadow, but the physical shape of a pale young boy with hollow, black pits for eyes. He lunged at her, intending to possess her body completely. In that moment, between life and death, Pim remembered her own mother's love. She gathered all her courage, clutched the baby blanket to her chest, and spoke from her heart. "I do love you, Khampan. I do. But this is not your home anymore. Let go of all the pain. It's time to go to the light. Your real mother and father are waiting for you." Pim began to chant a simple prayer of loving kindness that her mother had taught her as a child. Her voice was not filled with fear, but with genuine compassion. Khampan's figure froze. From his hollow eyes, black tears began to stream down his pale face. The rage and pain that had been building for a century began to melt away, replaced by a profound sadness and finally, understanding. His body became translucent, glowing with a soft golden light from within. "Thank you, Mother." With that last word, his form dissolved into 1,000 motes of golden light that faded into the air. On the floor, the clay doll cracked, split, and crumbled into fine dust. Everything was still. The moonlight, no longer hidden by clouds, streamed into the room. Professor Tan slowly got to his feet. The ritual was over. Khampan's soul was finally free. After the events of that night, the hotel project was cancelled. Pim spoke with the new landowners and convinced them to turn the House of the Beautiful Moon into a local museum, to preserve its history and honor the souls who had lived there. Pim stayed to oversee the completion of the new project. She never again experienced anything supernatural in the house. The heavy, oppressive atmosphere was gone, replaced by a sense of peace. But sometimes, she says, when she walks through the master bedroom on a full moon night, she can still smell the faint, sweet scent of jasmine flowers on the wind. A final, gentle thank you from the boy named Khampan.